So the mind is not independent, isn't it? So it by itself will not decide what is good, what is bad, right? The mind only evaluates. You saw, it receives, right? And when you react, you are giving it points for evaluation. So it keeps those points. Okay? That is why when you decide upon something, from inside your mind there is an objection. You saw, that only you call confusion. You want to go, you also don't want to go. See, you want to do, you also don't want to do. Why? Who's now creating the confusion? It is only you, not your mind. Your mind is just what? Like a computer, it is operating on given data. Okay? You have given it positive points, you have also given it negative points. All the mind does is an evaluation automatically, it sends out the result, confusion. Now what happens? You have to sort out the confusion. You have to sit down to think. You call the mind, call the positivities, call the negativities, you again analyze and correct the confusion, make it clear. Then the mind sends out the result, clarity. You do the action. So you saw, it's the mind that receives. So you must be very careful about what you feed. The other day I told you about the influence of atmosphere. Right? The mind being such an impression-oriented system, in whatever atmosphere you place it, it will receive impressions. Right? If it is placed in a proper atmosphere, it gets positive impressions. If it is placed in a wrong atmosphere, it adds to your problems. We don't know this. That is why you must place a child in an atmosphere that is conducive to growth. A student should be placed in an atmosphere that is conducive for study. That is what in ancient days we had gurukulas. A gurukula was a place of study. Right? It was not a place of leisure. Today all our homes are a place of leisure. See, we have so many things to distract us, very few things to help us. That again the mind does, if placed in a positive atmosphere, right? Under the right guidance, if a mind is placed, it keeps on receiving values, converts them into virtues and helps you grow. You don't even know that you are growing. You saw, if you are under the right teacher, you don't know that you are growing, still you have grown. Why? The mind is such a system. But if placed in a wrong atmosphere, there again you don't know that you are getting polluted. See? Sometime later, your actions exhibit your polluteness. That is the mind. So the mind is such a system. That day I told you, if you handle it, it will be a blessing. If you allow it free, it becomes a tragedy. Okay? So all the mind control that the yoga is talking is based on this. Every japa they ask you to do is only to correct your thought structure. But I tell you, until you correct this thought structure, you can't progress much in japa. Why? Because who's the fellow now who's going to do the japa? The confused mind does the japa, which is another form of confusion. In fact, it will convert the japa into a confusion. It is natural. Because I told you, when you ask a confused oriented person for an advice, he confuses you more. In fact, you were confused. That is why you went to him for clarity. He only promotes it. Why? His nature is that. So you stay with him for 1 year, you become more confused than him. Why? Your confusion plus his. But if you go to a man of clarity, you become more clear. You become more determined. You become more decision oriented. Why? What was actually an infant inside you, that capacity has now been growing into an adult. Why? The man around you is an adult. We don't know to use our mind. We don't know to operate it. It is like a computer. You must keep on feeding good data. It gives you brilliant results. If you feed it with negative data, it will ruin your life. At one stage you want to control your mind, but you are helpless. See? I told you about parents. They have driven the child to an extreme situation. Now they are trying to compensate and compromise. The child is not available. Why? The child by itself cannot control, even though it wants to control. That time you think your mind is a tragedy. The mind remains a mystery. Why? When you can't control it, you are surprised. See, 1,000 people are there in a hall, you are also with them, suddenly you become sad. Suddenly you become moody. Right? You go to a funeral, there suddenly 1,000 people have come for a condolence, you sit down there, suddenly you feel like laughing. I know people, they want to laugh. They feel like shaking hands. You yourself are surprised. Why am I feeling like that? You tell, the mind is very mysterious. Not at all. It is you who gives it a mysterious nature. Right? And it is this weak mind that falls in society. They always ask me, as lifestyles change, don't we need changes in religion? Not at all. Religion is handling the internal nature of every man. Religion is not at all worried about the technological developments. Why? Science can never disprove religious facts, although religion can expose scientific limitations. You know that? That is why all scientists, when they go beyond a certain metaphysics level, have become religious. Whether they wore a religious dress or not, whether they had a japamala or not, what they spoke was truly religious. See, so religion is handling the internal nature. When a man changes his nature, when he gets total control over it, he will use science for the benefit of humanity. If there is not going to be any control over himself, then he will be a disaster. See, science again is like dynamite. You can use it to explode below the ground to find out water sources. But you can also throw it in the air and send all construction escaping. So as lifestyles change, right, what changes? Only the material side, the commercial side of man changes. Does any scientific development assure a mental change? Never. Why? Science again is contributing to one dominate the other. So religion always is there. Why? For your mind. So as lifestyle changes, people are telling we are so busy, how can we be religious? Do you want to grow? Yes. Do you want an abiding relationship? Yes. Do you want fulfillment in all your actions? Yes. Then you ought to be religious. In fact, if you want to live, you ought to be religious. If you want to exist, you can as well join the wildlife funds. Contribute at least for that. They are all your brethren. Bond together. Okay? So you must always remember this. As we use the mind, why does mind fall down? Right? This is another topic now. As commercials develop, as communication technology improves, right, man is exposed to a multitude of data. Isn't it? Cinema, everything forms part of the communication. We feel that once cinema develops, once this technology develops and sends information to your door without even asking for it, you feel you cannot handle it. Why? It is because you are weak. So the problem is not with the scientific development, right? Okay, it is only with your response to that development. Everywhere, discovering a hydrogen bomb was never a problem. Responding to that discovery is the problem. Nuclear science should develop. There are so many deserts that cannot afford power. So many countries that are desert oriented. They can't afford power through water or hydro. They need this nuclear supply. But there again, how you are going to respond? Cinema is there. It is not there for fun. It is the profession of so many fellows. See, millions of people are dependent upon that industry. You saw the government has declared it as an industry. Right? It is there as an industry. It is available for you only if you want it. Right? The television there again is an industry. It is feeding millions of people around the world. There again it is available for you only if you want it. Every discovery is not a problem, including the atom and the hydrogen bomb. It was the reaction of the people who are manning that discovery, who are going to respond it, who are going to utilize it. It is those people's mental structure that is going to make it a dream or a disaster. You understand? So as lifestyle changes, when you go out and somebody is talking about a movie, you immediately get caught means it only shows your weakness. Like I am also living, no science comes in the way of my growth. In fact, I am utilizing it. See, I am utilizing this recorder to record my talks, to also listen to devotional music. You saw? I will use this totally. Every modern appliance is there with me. For what? I am using it for my betterment. See, if you have to use an old grinding stone, it will take 45 minutes. Today you can finish it off 5 minutes in a mixie, devote the remaining 40 minutes to religion. Yes, you can have a car or a bike to travel. You transit faster, gain some time from it, use it for your growth. You saw? Everything. It depends as to how you respond to it. Otherwise, the changing technology is not a problem. With a weak mind, if you had existed 1,000 years ago, you would have still been a victim of that. If you exist 1,000 years hence, you are still going to be a victim. Right? A victimized mind can be a victim under any circumstance. See, are there any laws that a weak mind will only fall under such conditions? Never. Weakness is a lingering thing. Okay? Wherever a weak man is, he will fall. But if you are strong, then I told you that day. Isn't it? I have gone through tremendous trials, right? Every minute in my life as a Swami initially was a crisis. But I said, I will convert every crisis into an opportunity. I will convert every crisis into a challenge, right? Later on the crisis disappeared, right? The challenge also went away. In the process, I matured. How did this happen? It is because my predominant thought structure was strong. It was one that was totally fact-oriented. I was always looking for facts in every situation. Right? Even if that situation undermines my very existence, I am again looking there for facts. What are the facts that is now undermining my very existence? Let me know that, so that in future I will equip myself to handle those facts. When I've also failed. Right? Every man has failed. There is no man who has not failed. Right? But every failure should be what? Not a crisis. Every failure should be a challenge. Right? You convert that challenge into an opportunity. Then what happens? Failure becomes a stepping stone. See? Strength. The whole religion only talks of strength. Right? Take any epic. Take the Bible. Everything is telling, don't be weak. You are not here to sin. Right? You are not a sinner. It is talking of strength. Why? It says be bold. You are divine. It says you have the capacity. You have been provided with the mind. Right? If your mind is going to be full of strength, of thoughts that give you strength, then you are a success. See? So religion contributes. Now I am talking to you like this because I drew all my strength from religion. I went through the religious texts. I also went through the commercial texts. See? I was telling you about Lincoln this afternoon. He was born in a slave's den. Right? He learned to write only after he was 15, 16. See? And that too only after 10, 13. He learned to write by himself. There was no school that would have taken him at such an age, at such an economic background. But after 20, he studied. He learned to read and write by himself. He rose to be America's greatest president. He was a master of written and prose. How? See? How? Just imagine. Were we all born in a slave's den? Did we learn to read and write by ourselves? Did we learn to read and write after we were 15 or 20? Did we have to work till 10:30 to study? Imagine. No. Still we have never grown. But a man started to learn. He never had lamps. He used to use pine knots from the pine trees, pine fibers, knotted to form a lamp. In that lamp he studied. See, to become America's greatest leader. How much he must have slogged. Just imagine. How much he must have worked. How tired he should have been at the end of a slave's day. It's not a white-collar job. At the end of a slave's day, when every limb in his body says go to rest, Lincoln sits down and says, let me read. Why? It is a gift for every man to study. Animals cannot do that. Even the most petted animal, the dog, it can at most only wag its tail in recognition of your love. It cannot open its mouth and tell you thank you. See, a parrot cannot thank you by itself. You'll have to train it. Then it keeps on telling thank you even if you're angry. See, we pet pets. Even they cannot read or write. But as a human, you have been given the privilege to read, privilege to write, privilege to grow. Lincoln understood that. He said he wanted to be a human. The whole nation said you must be a slave. Lincoln said, no, I will be a citizen of this country. Just imagine. What a mind. A slavish day had not undermined him. You just imagine, if we stand 1 hour extra in a bus stand, we will not go to the temple or even open our books to study. Why? We are very tired. We work half an hour extra in the office, that too only for our benefit. Still we come home, we are very tired. Some of them want to go late the next day to the office as a compensatory measure. Just imagine the mind, how weak we are. But imagine Lincoln. Imagine Edison. Years of research was burnt out by an oil lamp when his dog spilled that lamp with the oil on his research papers. Any other researcher would have broken his head banging it against the wall around. Edison said, no, let me begin again. Why? He was committed. See, he said, I want to be a citizen of this country. I will work for its betterment. And that is what qualified Lincoln from all our modern leaders. The United States has never had a president like him. A president who understood people. A president who understood the needs of its people. Today we have leaders who understand their own needs and want the people to cooperate for that. That's the difference. Now you know what is strength. At the end of a slave's day, right? When every part of his body says, take me to bed, Lincoln is sitting under a pine knot. Just imagine this for a minute. He has to sit down by himself and learn to read, learn to write. He has to learn to pronounce by himself. We have the latest chambers to guide us. We have television and videos. We have the latest equipment in communications. Still, how many of us can pronounce rightly? Just imagine. In spite of all this struggle, he rose up. He said, I will not utilize my education for my benefit. Let it be of benefit to my country. Look at that mind. That is why I told you, failures are not failures. They are in fact successes. They are eye-openers. If only you know to observe. That is why you must receive a failure. Right? You must not run away from it. We run away from it. We don't want to face it. But if you face it, it is going to give you facts for you to correct, to understand, to grow. Right? So never blame the society if you are a failure. Never blame the cinema and the television if you are wasting time. It is your weakness that draws you to the television. When the television blares out its music, it only says, hey, all the men who are weak, please come. Yes, when the jazz comes on, when Michael Jackson opens out Saturday night special, he only says, all men who are weaklings to my music, please come. You can be strong and even listen to it. That time, that music is not an escape. It is now giving you time for leisure. But if you are caught in that music, then what happens? Gone. So never blame. You have to develop strength. And it is only that inner strength that will move mountains. Okay, you can move mountains. The oceans will dry up in front of you if you are a man of character, of strength. Right? And it is this strength that Krishna teaches in the Gita. He says there is no sorrow. The first sloka of the Gita, where Krishna unfolds the teachings of the Vedas, says there is no sorrow. How dare can Krishna tell that? That too to an Arjuna who is full of sorrow. An Arjuna caught between emotions and duty. An Arjuna caught between dharma and adharma. Caught between a teacher and a brother. Right? Caught between his own children and cousins. Arjuna knows he cannot protect every man in his army. He can protect only a few of them. Right? So his own children may be killed in the process. So an Arjuna who is sorrowed by the very thought of it. See? Arjuna has not yet faced sorrow. Look at it. That is our problem. Right? We are sad about what? We are not sad about the fact that sadness has come. We are sad about the fact that sadness may come. So Arjuna has not yet faced sorrow. You saw? He only is thinking of it. He says, if my children get killed, I'll be sorrowed. If I kill my teacher, I'll be sorrowed. Isn't it? If I lose this battle, I'll be sorrowed. If Krishna is hurt, I'll be sorrowed. In this, using the word if, Arjuna is a sorrowed man. Right? And to him Krishna says, there is no scope for any sorrow in a man's life. Look at that. Which means what? Krishna says, sorrow is weakness. A weak mind only will be sorrowed. A strong mind will destroy it. Okay? And that strong mind comes only from thoughts you accumulate. That is why Shankara said, go to a satsanga. Why? A satsanga will give you strength. It should give you strength. He said, be religious. Why? Religion should give you strength. Okay? That is why in olden days, men who all became great, they were also religious. Lincoln was religious. Edison was religious. You take all the men who moved this creation, they were all religious. Why? Religion means strength. Right? If you have a teacher, that man should give you strength. If you have some teaching, that teaching should give you strength. Strength to destroy this weakness. Okay? So the next time you sit up and put the blame on some society or some scientific development, clearly understand it is only you. It is you, a weak person who is falling by yourself, that has got nothing to do. Okay? So emotional maturity helps you to develop this strength. It says, reserve your energy for the strong. Right? Throw away that weakness. Don't interfere in silly and petty things. They will all drain you out. Interfering in silly things is a sign of your weakness. Right? Reserve your energy for the profound. Why? Limiting yourself to that pursuit of the profound is a sign of your strength. Right? Therefore, emotional maturity means basis for an individual's growth.